This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
I still feel like the camera's off a little bit. I didn't turn my Christmas lights on. What Civil War are you talking about, son? I was having an argument with somebody on Twitter, and they're like, in a constitutional republic, the Constitution can't change. Now, this guy's a black guy. It's the same one, Warlord. It's the same one that told me that over in Britain, like, you guys have to have your windows closed on Tuesdays. Just because somebody says so. Because you don't have a constitution. And I'm like, my friend, like, you realize you're black, right? We had to change the Constitution because it originally didn't acknowledge you. It didn't apply to you. Considered you 3/5 of a person. Shelly, Warlord, clinically. It's insane. Warlord, I assume you will be, do your windows even open? Can you open windows? I can only open this window. These should be able to open. I can't open them, unfortunately. I can only open that one. That's the one the fucking air conditioner's in. In case you couldn't tell. Light one up, tip one back. Yo, I demand that you sit in your house all day tomorrow without your windows open. Because of the Constitution. I don't even know what these people were arguing. Like, the original post was some dude saying that he hates democracy, but he loves a constitutional republic. I'm like, you don't know what those words mean, dumbass. And then they're just all arguing with me, and I'm like, democracy just means voting. If you don't like democracy, then don't vote, please. Please don't vote. That's what the dude, and then he moved the goalposts after I pointed out. I'm like, they're called amendments. We changed the Constitution. Michael, tier 2, Byronic, Julie, welcome in, everyone. Live one up, tip one back. I'm drinking lemonade. It's excellent. It is good lemonade. It could be better. I could have fresh lemons, but when life gives you lemons. We got a lot of shit to talk about tonight. It's Live Music Monday. We're going to be watching Kneecap. Kneecap canceling their U.S. tour. We're going to be watching them from the... It had a weird name. The You Oughta Know Festival or something. That was not it. That was not the name of the festival, I assure you. Best Kept Secret Festival. Best Kept Secret 2025. We're going to be watching Kneecap. Terrorism charge. The concert in Paris, I think it's tomorrow or something, going to go on despite the terrorism charge against one of the performers. Warlord making it rain. Thank you. Give news. Okay. I gotta go straight to news right now. I guess I'll skip the rundown. Let's get more on. Well, oh God. Well, the first story kind of sucks real bad. I really wanted to delay more, but if we must. The Associated Press and Associated Press journalist among those killed after Israel struck A hospital twice or 2 hospitals? I wasn't quite sure on the details. Whoa!
Come on now.
I don't even know how I made that happen. Here's here. Oh yeah, we need a content warning probably. They said sorry that they bombed the hospital.
Hospital officials say 19 people are dead, including 4 journalists, after an Israeli airstrike on Nasser Medical Complex in southern Gaza. ABC News obtained video of the first strike. Hamas says Israel targeted the 4th floor of the hospital. And then when ambulance crews and reporters arrived, they struck again. 2 weeks ago, an Israeli strike killed 6 journalists outside a different hospital. Now the Committee to Protect Journalists is accusing Israel of deliberately targeting news crews to stop information from leaving Gaza. Israel denies targeting journalists. This all comes as Israeli forces are moving in on Gaza City, while a UN-backed report warns of famine there. Let's bring in our chief international correspondent, James Longman, and ABC News defense analyst Mick Mulroy. James, the Committee to Protect Journalists says 192 journalists.
Let's bring a couple of white dudes
over the 22-month
in to
war
talk
in
about
Gaza.
this.
That's compared to 18 journalists killed in the years-long war in Ukraine. What do you make of that? And
one on the left is incredibly handsome too. So.
Well, Israel would say there's a lot of people in Gaza, and there are a lot of journalists trying to report what's going on, and they would say all civilian deaths are accidental, that they are part of its effort to try to root out Hamas. They say Hamas routinely uses civilians as human shields, or uses areas of Gaza which are populated by civilians as headquarters or weapons storage facilities, or to plan attacks on Israel or to fire rockets. That is what Israel says. The international community, the Committee to Protect Journalists, all the major networks who employ people inside Gaza refute that. They would say, well, the Committee to Protect Journalists says anyway, that on a number of occasions, I think over 20 now, they allege that Israel is specifically trying to kill journalists. They point not just to the fact that these journalists have been killed.
Because they are.
Often are killed as well in separate incidents away from the quote-unquote front line inside Gaza. They also point to the fact that international journalists like me cannot go in to Gaza freely to report, to meet Palestinians, to hear what they have to say, that any time that journalists are allowed in, they're under these very heavily restricted military embeds with the IDF, not allowed really to get anywhere close to where Palestinians are. So yes, it's a very, very sad toll. And on this particular occasion, it looks as though, at least to those in Gaza who speak to us, that as soon as this strike had happened, when people rushed to the scene, ambulance crews, first responders, and yes, journalists, as is often the case, this second strike came in. And those in Gaza allege that that is what Israel does on purpose, a so-called double-tap strike, in order to try to kill civilians. Israel says that's absolutely not what it does, that these are unintended consequences of its strategy to try to root out Hamas. But the debate rages on about what is truth. How can we know what is happening in Gaza if we're not?
I'm still upset from 2021 when they killed Abu Akleh. Fucking, that was one of the first times that I really covered Israel targeting journalists in Gaza, and that was long before October 7th. So I'm still upset about that. And she was an American citizen.
Supposed to speak to journalists who the Israelis allege are all linked to Hamas in some way. They often undermine the credibility of a lot of the journalists. We had that when those 6 journalists were killed outside a hospital just about 2 weeks ago. The credibility of one of the journalists, who has over 1 million followers, I think, on Instagram at the time, was called into question, the idea that he supported Hamas. So this is a very, very, very controversial issue, but international news organizations and the Committee to Protect Journalists are very clear that journalism is not a crime.
And James, what's the latest on the fighting and famine in Gaza City?
Well, this plan to occupy Gaza City looks like it's happening. At least that's the impression that the Israelis want to give, with this military build-up on the border and actually around the outskirts. We've seen strikes in southern neighborhoods just this morning, tank fire as well. Now, it could be that the Israelis actually do want to carry out a full-blown occupation, military occupation of Gaza City in order to, in Benjamin Netanyahu's words, root out Hamas and move the 500,000 or so Palestinians who have taken refuge in Gaza City since this war started. Gaza City actually has not seen a military occupation in the way that other parts of Gaza have seen since the beginning of this war. So many of the people who are there have moved from other parts of Gaza in order to find safety. If they would then have to move south, that would be catastrophic on a humanitarian level. That is what all the major humanitarian agencies have been saying. But it could be that this is a pressure tactic by the Israelis because ceasefire negotiations are ongoing. We know that Hamas has now seems to have agreed to a plan put forward by Steve Witkoff earlier this year for a 60-day truce during which the hostages would be released in stages. The Israelis now don't seem to want to accept that. They want all the hostages released at once. We think 50 hostages remain, of which some 20 are still alive. So it would be a combination of living hostages and the bodies of those who have been killed. So we'll have to wait and see if this actually is a negotiating tactic or if Israel is going to carry out its plan of a military occupation.
And Mick, I want to drill down on that a little bit because Netanyahu now says that Israel will resume these negotiations for the release of all hostages and an end to the war on terms acceptable to Israel. What do you think that means? What are those terms? And what do you make of this shift in strategy?
So, Diane, at first, I'd say, as James points out, this whole idea of a occupation of Gaza City might be to put the ultimate pressure on Hamas. They're largely believed to be strong-pointed in Gaza City, so this would be somewhat of a last stand for them if they go in and occupy it. And of course, it would cause major humanitarian issues. If that's the case, hopefully they can get to some resolution that is on the terms of Israel, that all the hostages do come out. It's certain that these conditions the hostages are in are very dire, and the longer they are in there, the longer it's likely that they could pass away from being in captivity. So this is something I think Israel is willing to do, but hopefully it does put the pressure on Hamas to accept these terms. And in this conflict, that is the quickest way, obviously, to get the hostages out, but also to relieve this increasingly dire humanitarian situation, which is right now put 500,000 people in the famine condition, so IPC level 5, the worst, most catastrophic.
All right, Mick Mulroy, James Longman, thank you both.
Heartbreaking. Kaya, good luck with your interview. Byronic, I wish you luck in finding chaos. It is sad he's still missing. I haven't eaten at a KFC in like 20 years. I couldn't tell you what their biscuits even taste like. They used to be pretty good. 20 years ago they were really good, but like my buddy worked there when we were in high school, so. Trump can't fire someone from the Fed. Or, of course, welcome in Avalon, Media Winch, Kaya, Princess Kimberly. I don't know if I gave you a hello earlier. Shelly, Ducky. You guys are going to make me hungry. So, we've got a new thing going on. What that news be doing? Stupid shit, Avalon. We got a new thing going on, a new trend in the United States this year. Instead of it being just another day in mass shooting USA, it's just another day in mass shooting hoax USA. Today it was the University of Arkansas. It appears to be a hoax. The school shooting, the lockdown that happened earlier today.
30 today, we received our first 911 call of a man with a gun and shots fired inside Mullins Library. Officers from our agency as well
inside my library.
Outside responding agencies including Fayetteville, Springdale, Tawnytown, State Police, Washington County Sheriff's Office, all responded to the scene. Before we were able to clear the scene, we received a total of 308 landline phone calls and 38 911 calls that covered 7 different buildings on campus, all reporting either a suspect or shots fired, an active shooter event. From there, the officers were able to clear all of the buildings. We cleared them floor by floor, room by room, escorted many students, faculty, and staff out of the buildings, and then were able to break down command and open the buildings.
It sounds like bots.
We have no record of shots fired, no injuries. It's looking as if this was another swatting or hoax call. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
There you have it. That was the University of Arkansas Police Department Assistant Chief Matt Mills. Last night, it was South Carolina. One of our favorite congresswomen who isn't going to be in Congress very much longer, she is running for governor. We're going to have to do a show that is just focused on all the different political races and the shakeups going on. So Nancy Mace will be leaving Congress, running for governor of South Carolina. She has been criticized for falsely identifying a man as a campus shooter. Republican Congresswoman posted an image online of a man and inaccurately called him a shooter in a now deleted post. He was not. He was carrying an umbrella. South Carolina Republican Nancy Mace is facing criticism for posting an online image of a man she falsely described as a campus shooter after the state university issued a credible report alert of a shooter in the library on Sunday. School officials at the University of South Carolina had issued a warning of an active shooter at the university's Columbia campus at around 6:30 p.m., later describing the suspect as a white male with black pants approximately 6 feet tall and still in the area. Students and faculty staff were advised to evacuate the area or seek safe shelter and barricade yourself in safe area as necessary until further notice. Subsequent messages stated that there was no evidence of a threat, but not before the Congresswoman posted a now deleted post warning of a white male wearing a black shorts, gray t-shirt, backpack, and then called the alleged shooter along with a picture of a man with what turned out to be an umbrella. Do we have a picture of the post? Yeah, somebody can preserve this. Ron Flipodowski. So that was the original tweet from Nancy Mace. Just wearing shorts and a t-shirt and holding an umbrella. Because remember, the hurricane just went by South Carolina. Mace's wrong identification of the man with an umbrella brought commentary from figures from both sides of the debate over gun and gun safety. Fred Gutenberg, a gun control activist whose 14-year-old daughter was killed in the Parkland High School shooting, said now would be an appropriate time to talk about how to appropriately punish you for this false post that could have gotten someone killed. Everything about you and your messaging is the problem. Seek help, as I firmly believe you are in need. I would be more than happy to help Nancy Mace if she would like to be my GOP mommy. I can fix her. Matt Walsh, a right-wing political commentator who once called me a formidable voice in the culture.
JustinFREAKIN is a formidable voice in the culture.
posted sarcastically, really grateful for Nancy Mace. She bravely alerted the public to the dangers of a guy carrying an umbrella. Mace later backtracked, posting, real or a hoax or a mistake. Now would be an appropriate time to talk about hardened security at schools of all grades, colleges, and universities. Nancy, I've got something that can harden for you. This was a terrifying, this is back to Nancy's quote. This was a terrifying experience. This was a terrifying experience for students on campus and their families. Many are confused after being told there was an active shooter. Some are even afraid to return. As the mom of a student at USC, tonight was terrifying. Frantically calling my child to see if they were at the library or barricaded somewhere else on campus, making sure they and their roommates were safe. Your hearts just dropped to the ground. For a minute, you can't breathe. South Carolina first, Nancy wrote. See, do we have the update of the story?
Your first alert. This is WIS 10 Midday.
It's on, Oregon Gal.
Sirens and stuff. People like just kind of running, everything chaotic.
Chaos, that's the word being used to describe the scene at the University of South Carolina Sunday as police looked into reports of an active shooter on campus. Now, less than 24 hours later, students are back on campus this afternoon. Still some concerns swirling through our community.
This is at least the fourth hoax
Faulkner. There was not a suspect or
at a university.
Campus, but it was a scary few hours for students, neighbors, and of course.
And school isn't really even back in yet.
Joining us live from USC's campus this afternoon, where she's been following updates on this story since this morning. Ashley, you've been working to get some answers for us. What are you finding out?
Well, Intisar, right now I am standing just across from the Thomas Cooper Library. That was kind of the root of all of this chaos that erupted yesterday. But I want you all to go ahead and kind of take a look at what the campus looks like today. A complete 180 from what we initially saw. Like you said, Intisar, less than 24 hours ago. I mean, the students are walking and going to class like nothing really ever happened yesterday. But the university sent out an alert with reports of an active shooter. That was around 6:30 last night. We were following that. Another Carolina alert saying an active shooter was on campus, and it was telling students to avoid the area near the library, and it was even telling them to defend themselves if necessary. There were pictures circulating online and video showing a person walking around the campus with what was believed to be a gun at the time. And then around 8 o'clock at night, a notification was sent to students again saying that there was no danger. Now, there are so many questions that we're asking today, specifically campus police, because they are investigating this right now. We want to know who is responsible for sending out those Carolina alerts. And most importantly, what led university leaders to believe that there was a threat on the campus? That obviously incited a lot of panic yesterday.
If it was like the one we just heard about at the University of Arkansas, then they received a shit ton of calls saying there was and what the official said, like 7 different buildings on campus they were alerted to, and 700 calls.
For students, their families, and people just around that area. My colleague Derek Rush was actually here on the campus yesterday. He spoke to some of the people that were here. Just listen to what they had to say about what happened.
People running, and then I gave it a second. I went back to the car, and then that's where we heard the sirens and all the alerts and stuff come in. I mean, the best thing they told you to do is try to find somewhere, seek shelter, and like just defend yourself. But, you know, in situations like that, that's just scary, bro.
Now, we're also asking law enforcement today, were those initial reports some sort of hoax, or was there someone that truly believed that there was a shooter on this campus? We've got team coverage coming for you all later on tonight starting at 4 o'clock. My colleague Derek Rush and our Naomi Popa will be on this story and working to get those answers for you all. But for now, reporting live here at the University of South.
So it appears this is going to be something that is going to continue to happen. I'm sure it will spawn copycats. I wonder if this has been the same perpetrator and if they're using spoof numbers, VPNs, It may be hard to fucking find them. Maybe even generating an AI voice. Multiple AI voices. That'd make it near impossible. I'm not encouraging anybody to do that. I'm not trying to tell you how you'd go about it. God damn. It's been quite the day for a man by the name of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He got to see his family, had to report to ICE this morning, taken right back into custody. A judge has now delayed any sort of deportation for Abrego Garcia.
Now to new developments this afternoon in the Kilmar Abrego Garcia case. A federal judge ordered the Trump administration not to deport him until his case can be heard in court. Abrego will remain in ICE custody until that hearing. They've already transferred him from Maryland to Virginia.
The Trump administration has said that it plans to deport Abrego to Uganda.
How many goddamn states has this man been in the last 24 hours? From Tennessee to Maryland, back to Virginia.
After he rejected an offer to plead guilty to human smuggling charges. News 4's Paul Wagner is tracking all the developments today. He's in the newsroom for us with the latest. Paul?
Yeah, earlier this afternoon, Judge
maybe not that many. That might be like 4 or 5 states
for both sides, and said she was extending the 72-hour window she had set for Abrego's lawyers to argue against the Trump administration's decision to send Abrego to Uganda. Now, Judge Zines wants each side to file motions and said she may have a hearing in court as early as this Friday morning. Now, let's back up to how the day started. Kilmar Abrego Garcia was ordered by ICE to report to its office in Baltimore early this morning, where he was taken into custody. It's been a whirlwind few days for the Beltsville man. On Friday, he was released from custody in Tennessee, where he's facing human smuggling charges. He then had a reunion with his family before being detained again. Attorneys for Abrego Garcia rejected an offer to plead guilty to the human smuggling charges. That deal would have sent him to Costa Rica after he served time in federal prison in the United States. Again, that's now off the table, and the Trump administration wants to send him to Uganda. In the petition filed in court today, Abrego's lawyers want the opportunity to argue against his deportation to a third country. During the conference call this afternoon, Judge Zini said she had heard about the offer to send Abrego to Costa Rica, but noted the government then withdrew that offer and said it would be Uganda instead. Here's the sticking point. Judge Zini's noted there has been no confirmation from Uganda that Abrego Garcia would have papers and refugee status and not be immediately sent to El Salvador, where he should never have been sent based on his immigration status of withholding of removal. Drew Ensign, an attorney for the government, said in the phone call a deportation to a third country was not imminent and that it, quote, takes time. Abrego spoke through a translator today outside the ICE office just before he turned himself in.
When I was detained, I remembered memories with my family, going to the park with them, going to the trampoline with my children.
Esos momentos me darán fuerzas y esperanza para seguir luchando.
Those moments will continue to give me hope to continue in this fight.
Abrego also thanked his supporters, his lawyers, and all of the people who demonstrated on his behalf. So now the Beltsville man who was wrongfully deported last March has a new fight on his hands. His lawyer today said there was no reason for him to be detained. They were just doing it to punish him. That's the latest here in the newsroom. Now back to you.
Paul, can you give us a little bit more information about the third country deportation? Why Uganda?
Well, Uganda, according to information we have seen from the White House, has agreed to take certain detainees that can't be sent to their home country. And part of the deal, according to what we've seen, says that Uganda wouldn't take anyone that has a criminal record. But as the judge noted in her conversation today with the attorneys, that there's been nothing that she's seen in the public domain that says that Uganda would treat Kilmer Abrego Garcia as a refugee, give him papers and give him freedom there in that country so he'd be allowed to work, and that they wouldn't send him to El Salvador. So that's what her concern was today.
All right, Paul Wagner. Paul, thank you so much.
Paul did a good job. Thank you, Paul. Maybe cash. J.D. Pritzker had some words for Trump earlier today. And apparently fiery speech.
And we'll get back to the rest of Jonathan Karl's piece there in a moment. We want to take you live now to Chicago, Illinois, where Governor J.B. Pritzker is addressing the media about the potential of the National Guard coming to his city. Let's take a listen.
Will heed, both here in Illinois and across the country. Over the weekend, we learned from the media that Donald Trump has been planning for quite a while now to deploy armed military personnel to the streets of Chicago. This is exactly the type of overreach that our country's founders warned against. And it's the reason that they established a federal system with a separation of powers built on checks and balances. What President Trump is doing is unprecedented and unwarranted. It is illegal. It is unconstitutional. It is un-American. No one from the White House or the executive branch has reached out to me or to the mayor. No one has reached out to our staffs. No effort has been made to coordinate or to ask for our assistance in identifying any actions that might be helpful to us. Local law enforcement has not been contacted. We have made no requests for federal intervention. None. We found out what Donald Trump was planning the same way that all of you did. We read a story in the Washington Post. If this was really about fighting crime and making the streets safe, what possible justification could the White House have for planning such an exceptional action without any conversations or consultations with the governor, the mayor, or the police? Let me answer that question. This is not about fighting crime. This is about Donald Trump searching for any justification to deploy the military in a blue city, in a blue state, to try and intimidate his political rivals. This is about the President of the United States and his complicit lackey, Stephen Miller, searching for ways to lay the groundwork to circumvent our democracy, militarize our cities, and end elections. There is no emergency in Chicago that calls for armed military intervention. There is no insurrection. There is no insurrection. Like every major American city in both blue and
there's just this erection.
We deal with crime in Chicago. Indeed,
I was
violent
grabbing my
crime rate is
crotch in
worse
case you couldn't
red
tell.
States and red cities. Here in Chicago,
Why am I like this?
police force and elected leaders work every day to combat crime and to improve public safety. And it's working. Not one person here today will claim we have solved all crime in Chicago. Nor can that be said of any major American metro area. But calling the military into a U.S. city to invade our streets and neighborhoods and disrupt the lives of everyday people is an extraordinary action, and it should require extraordinary justification. Look around you right now. Does this look like an emergency? Look at this. Go talk to the people of Chicago who are enjoying a gorgeous afternoon in this city. Ask the families buying ice cream on the Riverwalk. Go see the students who are at the beach after school. Talk to students who are at the beach I just met taking the water taxi to get here.
I don't think that's
Find a
YouTube.
family
I think
who's
that's just
enjoying
their, yeah,
today
that's their feed.
sitting on their front porch, and ask if they want their neighborhoods turned into a war zone by a wannabe dictator. Ask if they'd like to pass through a checkpoint with unidentified officers in masks while taking their kids to school. Crime is a reality we all face in this country. Public safety has been among our highest priorities since taking office. We have hired more police and given them more funding. We banned assault weapons, ghost guns, bump stocks, and high-capacity magazines. We invested historic amounts into community.
You might need those things, sir.
Programs. We listened to our local communities, to the people who live and work in the places that are most affected by crime, and asked them what they needed to help make their neighborhoods safer. Those strategies have been working. Crime is dropping in Chicago. Murders are down 32% compared to last year and nearly cut in half since 2021. Shootings are down 37% since last year and 57%.
A lot of math coming at me.
Robberies are down 34% year over year. Burglaries down
66 and 2/3%.
Thefts down 26%. So in case there was any doubt as to the motivation behind Trump's military occupations, take note. 13 of the top 20 cities in homicide rate have Republican governors.
Oh, you know it.
None of these cities is Chicago. 8 of the top 10 states with the highest homicide rates are led by Republicans. None of those states is Illinois. Memphis, Tennessee, Hattiesburg, Mississippi have higher crime rates than Chicago. And yet
Shreveport, Louisiana.
Here and not there? Ask yourself why.
St. Louis, Missouri.
Actually serious about fighting crime in cities like Chicago, he, along with his congressional Republicans, would not be cutting over $800 million in public safety and crime prevention grants nationally, including cutting $158 million in funding to Illinois for violence prevention programs that deploy trained outreach workers to de-escalate conflict on our streets. Cutting $71 million in law enforcement grants to Illinois, direct money for police departments through programs like Project Safe Neighborhoods, the state and local anti-terrorism training program, and the Rural Violent Crime Reduction Initiative. Cutting $137 million in child protection measures in Illinois that protect our kids against abuse and neglect. Trump is defunding the police. To the members of the press who are assembled here today,
are you trying to sell them to me? I don't.
Across the country, I am asking for your courage to tell it.
I think I'm liking that.
This is not a time to pretend here that there are two sides to this story. This is not a time to fall back into the reflexive crouch that I so often see, where the authoritarian creep by this administration is ignored in favor of some horse race piece on who will be helped politically by the president's actions. Donald Trump wants to use the military to occupy a U.S. city, punish his dissidents.
Multiple U.S. cities.
Score political points. If this were happening in any other country, we would have no trouble calling it what it is, a dangerous power grab. Look at the people assembled before you today, behind me. This is a full cross-section of Chicago's leaders from the business world, the faith community, law enforcement, education, community organizations, and more. We sometimes disagree on how to effectively solve the many challenges that our state and our city face on a daily basis. But today we are standing here united, in public, in front of the cameras, unafraid to tell the president that his proposed actions will make our jobs harder and the lives of our residents worse. Earlier today in the Oval Office, Donald Trump assembled cameras and asked for me personally to say, "Mr. President, can you do us the honor of protecting our city?"
And you don't have a tiny dick.
Instead, I say, "Mr. President, do not come to Chicago." You are neither wanted here nor needed here. Your remarks about this effort over the last several weeks have betrayed a continuing slip in your mental faculties and are not fit for the auspicious office that you occupy. Most alarming, you seem to lack any appropriate concern as our commander-in-chief for the members of the military that you would so callously deploy as pawns in your ever more alarming grabs for power. As a governor, I've had to make the decision in the past to call up members of the National Guard into active service. And I think it's worth taking a moment to reflect on how seriously I take that responsibility and on the many things that I consider before asking these brave men and women to leave their homes and their communities to serve in any capacity for us. As I've said many times in the past, members of the National Guard are not trained to serve as law enforcement. They are trained for the battlefield, and they're good at it. They're not trained to arrest people and read them their Miranda rights. They did not sign up for the National Guard to fight crime. And when we call them into service, we are reaching into local communities and taking people who have jobs and families away from their neighborhoods and the people who rely upon them. It is insulting to their integrity and to the extraordinary sacrifices that they make to serve in the Guard, to use them as a political prop where they could be put in situations where they will be at odds with their local communities, the ones that they seek to serve. I know Donald Trump doesn't care about the well-being of the members of our military, but I do. And so do all the people standing here. So let me speak to all Illinoisans and to all Chicagoans right now. Hopefully the president will reconsider this dangerous and misguided encroachment upon our state and our city's sovereignty. Hopefully rational voices, if there are any left inside the White House or the Pentagon, will prevail in the coming days. If not, we are going to face an unprecedented and difficult time ahead. But I know you, Chicago, and I know you are up to it. When you protest, do it peacefully. Be sure to continue Chicago's long tradition of nonviolent resistance. Remember that the members of the military and the National
Oh, there's some violence in Chicago's history.
Are, for the most part, here unwillingly. And remember that they can be court-martialed and their lives ruined if they resist deployment. Look to the members of the faith community standing behind me today for guidance on how to mobilize. To my fellow governors across the nation who would consider pulling your National Guards from their duties at home to come into my state against the wishes of its elected representatives and its people, you would be failing your constituents and your country. Cooperation and coordination between our states is vital to the fabric of our nation, and it benefits us all. Any action undercutting that and violating the sacred sovereignty of our state to cater to the ego of a dictator will be responded to. The state of Illinois is ready to stand against this military deployment with every peaceful tool we have. We will see the Trump administration in court. We will use every lever at our disposal to protect the people of Illinois and their rights. Finally, to the Trump administration officials who are complicit in this scheme, to the public servants who have forsaken their oath to the Constitution to serve the petty whims of an arrogant little man, to any federal official who would come to Chicago and try to incite my people into violence as a pretext for something darker and more dangerous, we are watching and we are taking names. This country has survived darker periods than the one that we're going through right now, and eventually the pendulum will swing back, maybe even next year. Donald Trump has already shown himself
vote harder
regard for the many acolytes that he has encouraged to commit crimes on his behalf. You can delay justice for a time, but history shows you cannot prevent it from finding you eventually. If you hurt my people,
oh no,
nothing will stop me. Not
I used to believe that, but Trump has proven it wrong.
Circumstance from making sure that you face justice under our constitutional rule of law. As Dr. King once said, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice.
I used to believe that.
It doesn't bend on its own. History tells us we often have to apply force needed to make sure that the arc gets where it needs to go. This is one of those times.
He called Trump a dictator. Is that too strong a word? Perhaps we shouldn't be using such language. We should be talking about Trump being a dictator. That's way too harsh a language, right?
As you all know, Chicago's a killing field right now. And they don't acknowledge it. And they say, we don't need him, freedom, freedom. He's a dictator, he's a dictator. A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator. I don't like a dictator. I'm not a dictator. I'm a man with great common sense and I'm a smart person. As you all know, Chicago's a killing field right now. And they don't acknowledge it.
It's opposite day, guys. Everything he said, it's opposite day.
And they say, we don't need him, freedom, freedom. He's a dictator, he's a dictator. A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator. I don't like a dictator. I'm not a dictator. I'm a man with great common sense and I'm a smart person. As you all know, Chicago.
Woo! Yeah, but he also said he was a man with great common sense and a smart person. And those are also very, very factually inaccurate. Silence. Trump says he's removing Fed Governor Lisa Cook, cites the mortgage fraud allegations that we covered last night against her. President Donald Trump on Monday fired Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook. He does not have that power. he can't fire her. Surely somebody is going to be like, he can't fire her. It's an unprecedented move and a significant escalation of his attacks on the independence of the U.S. Central Bank. Pursuant to my authority under Article 2 of the Constitution, the United States and the Federal Reserve Act of 1913, as amended, you are hereby removed from your position on the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve. Trump's move pushes the Federal Reserve into uncharted territory and will likely lead to a legal clash that could wind up at the Supreme Court. The Trump administration claims that Cook, who was nominated by former President Joe Biden in 2022, committed mortgage fraud by allegedly naming two different properties as their primary residence at the time. Federal Housing Finance Agency Director Bill Boult, an outspoken critic of Fed Chairman Jerome Powell, publicly accused Cook of mortgage fraud on August 20th and sent a criminal referral to the Justice Department. Trump claimed that it is inconceivable that Cook was not aware of her first commitment when making the second. After Poult's claims started to circulate last week, Trump quickly called for Cook's resignation. Cook said in a statement the same day that she has no intentions of being bullied to step down from my position because of some questions raised in a tweet. 2 days later, Trump said he would fire Cook if she did not resign. What she did was bad, Trump told reporters on August 22nd. Poult applauded Trump's move and thanked his commitment to stopping mortgage fraud and following the law. Trump's, once again, the criminal. He is literally a convicted criminal. Trump's firing will likely trigger a legal showdown. The Supreme Court could get involved if a judge allows Cook to continue serving in her role while legal proceedings play out. Congress curbed the president's authority to unilaterally fire a Fed governor in the Federal Reserve Act of 1913, which states that presidents can only do so for cause. While the law does not elaborate on what constitutes cause, it has historically been understood to mean malfeasance or dereliction of duty. If Trump is ultimately successful in removing Cook, he will be able to nominate her replacement and reshape the Fed's governing board for the next several years. Fed governors typically serve 14-year terms. Cook is the first black woman to serve as a governor of the Federal Reserve. 2 of the 7 current Fed governors, Christopher Waller, Michelle Bowman, are Trump appointees. Trump nominated Powell to be the chair of the Fed in 2017. Totally not a dictator. Only a dictator would do something like hang their picture out in front of the Labor Bureau. There's now apparently video that disproves Trump's claim that Governor Moore called him the greatest president of my lifetime. The video footage of a 2024 conversation between President Donald Trump and Maryland Governor Wes Moore disproves Trump's claim that Moore called him the greatest president of my lifetime. Trump and Moore have been trading public barbs over public safety in Baltimore amid the president's takeover of law enforcement in nearby Washington, D.C. Speaking to reporters at the White House on Monday, Trump claimed that Moore, a Democrat, struck a markedly different tune when they met privately at the Army-Navy football game in Maryland in December of 2024. I met him at the Army-Navy game. Oh, there's Governor Moore. He'd love to see you. He came over to me. He hugged me, shook my hand. You were there. He said, sir, you're the greatest president of my lifetime. I said, that's really nice that you say that. I'd love you to say it publicly. But I don't think you can do that, so it's okay. But no, sir, you're doing a fantastic job. I just wanted to shake your hand. Moore scoffed at Trump's story, posting a social media response that said merely LOL. And then another post that said, keep telling yourself that, Mr. President. He said in a WBAL radio interview reported by the Washington Post that when I say the conversation never happened, that imaginary conversation never happened, I mean that conversation never happened. The video proved more right. On Monday, Fox News aired the footage of the brief meeting between Trump and Moore away from the crowd at the football game. And the Trump-friendly network acknowledged that the video, which was filmed for a Fox documentary about Trump, didn't show Moore calling Trump the greatest president.
The hell out of him. Wes Moore is posting on social media saying that President Trump can't walk, but maybe he should walk the streets of Baltimore. It didn't take him long to respond to the president there in the Oval Office. He said, LOL, keep telling yourself that, Mr. President. It'd be wild, though, if only we had the footage that President Trump had referenced about them meeting at the Army-Navy game. And thanks to the Art of the Surge on Fox Nation, we have the footage.
Mr. President, welcome back to Maryland, sir. Welcome back to Maryland. It's good to see you. In person, too. Thank you, sir. Great to see you. Great to see you. And great to have you back here. Great to have you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Well, we are very, very anxious to be able to work closely with you, and I know the Key Bridge is something that we're specifically. It's going well. I mean, we spoke with Speaker Johnson yesterday, and Speaker Johnson says he believes that we're close to the 100% cost share. And the thing is, I told him when we get that 100% cost share done, we are going to be able to go over the Key Bridge under your watch, because I will have it done in 28, on time and on budget.
We'll help you out.
Thank you, sir.
We didn't hear their greatest president ever, but we
He
did
said great. He said great a lot, but he did not call him the greatest president by any stretch of the imagination.
Yes, I'm so excited to meet you, Mr. President. Who's telling the truth? We'll let you decide.
Clearly, Governor Moore is telling the truth. You dipshit. Clearly, Trump is lying. We'll let you decide. Holy shit.
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
The man who said he's not a dictator has now moved to ban flag burning despite the Supreme Court ruling that the Constitution allows it. President Donald Trump on Monday signed an executive order requiring the Justice Department to investigate and prosecute people for burning the American flag, an activity that the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled is legitimate political expression protected by the U.S. Constitution. The order the Republican president signed in the Oval Office acknowledged the court's 5-4 ruling in the case from Texas in 1989, but said there is still room to prosecute flag burning if it is likely to incite imminent lawless action or amounts to fighting words. You burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail. You don't get 10. You get 1 month. You don't get 1 month. What? I have this clip somewhere. Hold on, because I can't do it justice apparently. This is from earlier today in the Oval Office, the same one where he talked about being a dictator. Yeah, this is it, I think. I've already thought about burning one on stream.
It charges your attorney general.
Would you listen to this? This is very important. Flag burning. All over the country, they're burning flags. All over the world, they burn the American flag. And as you know, through a very sad court, I guess it was a 5-4 decision, they called it freedom of speech. But there's another reason, which is perhaps much more important. It's called death. Because what happens when you burn a flag is the area goes crazy. If you have hundreds of people, they go crazy. You could do other things. You can burn this piece of paper. You can, but when you burn the American flag, it incites riots at levels that we've never seen before. People go crazy. In a way, both ways. There are some that are going crazy for doing it. There are others that are angry about them doing it. Do you want to discuss that?
Sure. So what the executive order does, sir, it charges your Department of Justice with investigating instances of flag burning, and then where there's evidence of criminal activity, where prosecution wouldn't fall afoul of the first.
What criminal activity?
Department of Justice to prosecute those who are engaged in these instances of flag burning.
And what the penalty is going to be, if you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail. No early exits, no nothing. You get 1 year in jail. If you burn a flag, you get, and what it does is incite to riot. I hope they use that language, by the way. Did they?
Yeah, incitement is.
Incite to riot. And you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail. You don't get 10 years, you don't get 1 month. You get 1 year in jail, and it goes on your record. And you will see flag burning stopping immediately.
Yeah, I couldn't have done this justice. We needed to see the clip of this.
Just like when I signed the Statute and Monument Act. 10 years in jail if you hurt any of our beautiful monuments. Everybody left town. They were gone. Never had a problem after that. It's pretty amazing. We stopped it. But this is something that's, I don't know, in a certain way, it's equally as important. Some people would say it's more important. Because the people in this country don't want to see our American flag burned and spit on. And by people that are, in many cases, paid agitators. They're paid by the radical left to do it.
Soros paid me to do it.
I don't even know, half of them don't even know what they're doing. They say, I don't know, they gave me money to do this. I see the same things that you do. They're bad people. They're trying to destroy our nation. That's not working, because I think our nation now is the most respected nation anywhere in the world, by far. You saw that with the European leaders on Friday. You saw that with NATO, where they agreed to go from 2% no pay to 5% fully paid up, trillions of dollars paid, where they respect your president to a level.
You get plenty of them made in China.
They call me the president of Europe. They call me the president of Europe, which is an honor. I like Europe, and I like those people.
Give them on the cheap.
They're great leaders. And we've never had a case where 7+
Cops show up, you can just say you're burning them
30
because they're Chinese propaganda.
Here the other day, 38 European countries were represented. European and other countries were represented, and it was a great meeting. But your country is respected again. I say it all the time. 1 year ago, our country was dead. Everybody said it. We had a dead country. We were not going to survive. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. So
Come on,
it's
man.
an honor to be involved. And this group has a lot to do with it right behind me.
Just fucking wow. It's back when I was a news reporter for a newspaper. I covered a flag retirement ceremony. Smokey! Smokey! Oh my God. This was the shot that I got at the flag retirement ceremony. Because the way you retire an old flag is to burn it. It wasn't him stomping on me that was the issue. It was him smacking the microphone. He was like putting his head up against the microphone. DJ Dub, Flash, welcome in. The MAGAs are just like going to continually defy the courts, I guess. Remember last week we had the ruling from the court in Texas that they were striking down the Ten Commandment law. Ken Paxton said, I'll display them anyway. Texas schools instructed to display Ten Commandments despite court ruling affecting some districts. One North Texas school district is among those impacted by a recent court ruling. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton on Monday instructed Texas public schools not impacted by a recent court ruling. Oh shit, I got this wrong. To display the Ten Commandments in classrooms in keeping with the new state law. I didn't know it only affected some classrooms. The news comes after a judge last week temporarily blocked the requirement, which is set to take effect on September 1st, from being enforced in at least 9 school districts, including one in North Texas. Paxton appealed the ruling. A group of Texas families and religious leaders had sought to block the new law, Senate Bill 10, from taking effect, at least temporarily, arguing that the law violates the First Amendment principles of separation of church and state and free exercise of religion. 11 Texas school districts, including Plano LSD in North Texas, as well as Alamo Heights, Northeast, Cypress Fairbanks, Lakeland, Lake Travis, Fort Bend, Dripping Springs, and Northside, Austin and Houston ISDs were named in the lawsuit seeking to block enforcement of the law. So I guess it's those districts, because they're the ones that sued, where it's blocked from going into effect on the 1st while the appeal is being heard. Even though the Ten Commandments would not be affirmatively taught, the captive audience of students would likely have questions which teachers would feel compelled to answer. That is what they do, Judge Fred Beery wrote in a ruling granting the temporary injunction last week. Paxton said in a press conference that the school districts affected by the temporary injunctions are Alamo Heights, North blah, 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 and all other school districts must abide by the law starting on September 1st. Civil liberties groups, including the ACLU, argue that the law violates First Amendment rights, while conservatives and some religious groups argue the Ten Commandments are foundational to U.S. judicial and educational systems and should be displayed in classrooms. They're not. They're not foundational. Texas, of course. Oh, hold on. Before we do that, let's go to this. Earlier today at the DNC summer meeting, Senator John Hoffman, he was one of the men who had an assassination attempt against him about 2 months ago. The day of the No Kings protest. This is the Minnesota state senator giving his first public speech at the DNC summer meeting.
Thank you. Last night I debated with my wife and daughter about how I would talk about Melissa Hortman. And she used the Effenheimer word many times. And so there was this debate in our house about I should just say LFG, LFG. Dude, you just gave me permission to say that. So good morning. It's an honor to be here with all of you today in Minneapolis. I am Minnesota State Senator John Hoffman. And you know what? Welcome to the North Star State, folks. You know, I'd like to say a few words about where we find ourselves, not only here in Minnesota, but across the country, as we work to reclaim what it means to be not only Democrats, but public officials who engage in public life at this critical juncture in America. I want to start off by thanking...
I guess he's saying, let's fucking go.
You know, Ken, you've been instrumental in the successes we've had in Minnesota for 2 decades. 2 decades. And thank you for all that and for bringing this meeting back to your home state of Minneapolis, home state of Minnesota. There also, we want to thank Governor Walz. Unbelievable. When he gets up here and he does his thing, I love that, right? And Senator Klobuchar, I'll still go down to Iowa for you anytime you want.
That Klobumentum.
Keith, you know what? Having our Attorney General that cares about human rights and civil rights is an amazing thing to have. And that gets to this, the challenge we do face. I want to speak about something that we all feel, is that creeping erosion of the public trust. That's not just in institutions, but that's in each other. And in this climate, we must recommit ourselves to governance over grievance, to service over self, and to action over anger. Terror in the night is not legislative reform. It's heinous. It's absolutely heinous. And so as we keep going through that piece of it, this is about courage. And this courage is to meet the fear with clarity. And the
courage to burn some American flags.
Politics and focus on real solutions. It's about truth, not spin, not grievance, not the easy applause lines, but the honest work of governing. And it's about solidarity, recognizing that our work is bigger than any of us. When we govern with humility and humanity, we restore trust in our institutions and in each other. There's a personal story and a wake-up call. But what I just said is really how we preserve democracy, and this is how we lead. So what happened here in Minnesota in the early morning darkness of June 14th with the political assassinations of Melissa and Mark, and what happened to myself, my wife Yvette, and my daughter Hope was pure evil. It was a political attack on public servants and public service. And it
by a right-wing nut job that everybody on the right still thinks is a Democrat, which just blows my mind.
Was aimed squarely and slowly at our party. And it was a wake-up call. What is happening at a national level, the persistent dehumanizing narratives and conspiracy theories in public discourse are fueling the radicalization of individuals willing to engage in political violence against perceived opponents. Not okay. I'm still slowly recovering from my gunshot wounds, 9 of them. If you want to see the pattern on my body, it's the same pattern that's in my red door that I no longer have. Although I do still have a long way to go. And what my daughter has endured on top of all this trauma, with publications international objectifying her based on disability, with narratives of the night that aren't even true, that's ableist and that's shameful. And I wish the media would stop leading the headlines with that. Thank you.
I'm not exactly sure what he's referring to there.
The last 2 painful months have given me perspective and the determination that the evil and violence on June 14th cannot and will not win. Our nation did cross a threshold on that night, and this horrific experience, what I've heard in a resounding voice from people all across our country and across the political...
This is Senator John Hoffman, state senator from Minnesota, who had an assassination attempt against him a couple months ago. The right-wing pastor, anti-abortion dude, he killed a state rep and her husband.
Spectrum is this. It isn't about politics.
Was the state rep DJ Dub?
It must be about right and wrong, right? We've all witnessed when leaders use the immense power entrusted to them, not for the common good, but to settle personal scores, to protect themselves and push selfish policies and pit neighbor against neighbor. That's wrong, and we must call it out. Returning to the core values, I want to talk about 3 core values. I was going to try to hold this hand up, but it's hard to do when I got a rod in my finger. 3 core values, right? I'm not a political strategist, and neither do I have any of the answers. But there are some democratic values that we need to return to reclaim as a party, to get our country back on course. And it won't happen overnight, but we must start and continue on that journey today. That's why meetings like this are so important. First, we need courage, right? Amen. Second, we need truth, right? Third, we need to engage with Americans. What I'm saying about that is we really need to listen to them, and then we need to act on their behalf. I heard from many people across this country since June 14th, and Americans across the political spectrum are thirsting for those things once again. I'm going to give you some examples of that leadership. First, courage. In 1948, a courageous young Minneapolis mayor named Hubert H. Humphrey stirred the Democratic National Convention in the nation when he challenged our own party to step away from states' rights. Remember that was being used for? Segregation of the South. Humphrey said, the time has arrived in America for the Democratic Party to get out of the shadow of states' rights and to walk forthrightly into the bright sunshine of human rights. How about that? Let's reclaim that courage. Let's continue to emphatically point out that when today's politics are warped into selfish agendas that harm families, strip communities of opportunity, and ignore the Constitution that it's meant to protect us. The second one is truth. Another Minnesotan, Walter Mondale, went from the U.S. Senate to become Vice President of the United States. When he left that role, he reflected on his service, and he said, we told the truth, we obeyed the law, and we kept the peace. Imagine that. That's the kind of leadership Americans are hungry for again. And instead, we too often see leaders bending the truth for personal gain and inviting crisis or spreading falsehoods that divide. That path only leads to mistrust and instability. We got to continue to tell the truth to the American people about those selfish policies written to benefit the powerful few. And in this country, right, and in Minnesota and every state, we feel the weight of those choices that enrich the wealthiest by hollowing out our health care, our education, and our future of working families. Not okay. So here's what we need to do. The third thing is solidarity. Paul Wellstone, my friend, his son and I have still to this day, we're the same age, go figure that one, used every waking breath he had to energetically fight for all people. And he used to challenge the unchecked power wielding by the wealthy and large corporations. He galvanized Minnesotans with the motto, Ken, we all do better when we all do better. We use that all the time. People believed him. Right? More importantly, they believed he was on their side. That's huge, right? I continue to hear that from Americans, that they don't believe we're on their side anymore. And we need to be, right? We need to organize as Wellstone did and keep fighting so that we all do better. And we need to make sure people know we're with them. Not with the selfish interests that hoard resources, not with politicians who weaponize power, but with the people who keep this country moving forward every single day. All right, I want to close by saying this. What happened in the dark of night on June 14th to the Hortmans and to me and my family is that wake-up call to Democrats all over. We must call Americans to action in ways that don't incite intimidation and political violence, right? Having our own homes violated by pure evil cannot be the new normal. right? Amen? I believe all Americans and Minnesotans want to talk to each other again without being demeaned and without the threat of violence. And here's how simple it is. Recently, a garage door...
No threats of violence, only threats of titty slap.
A titty slap!
Come on now.
That's kind of violent. We do it in a loving way. Hopefully this breaks the Electoral College. I don't see how we get out of this. We're going to talk about the redistricting. Florida's wanting in on it now. Florida's saying they got gypped in the last census. Blamed Biden, which also is funny because Biden wasn't president when the census happened. It's so weird that they don't know who was president in 2020.
Congressional map. Florida has been growing. It's been growing a lot since I've been governor, but even before that it was adding population, not at the same rate. And we got shortchanged in the last census. We should have had 2 or 3 seats. We only got 1 seat, and that was really the Biden administration's doing. So we are working with the Attorney General in Florida, James Uthmeyer, to talk to the Commerce Department. He's written a letter. Even Biden's administration a couple years after acknowledged Florida got shortchanged. So we're asking them to do that as best they can, award us another seat. That would obviously trigger us have to do a new map if we went from 28 to 29 or even to 30. So that's a congressional map.
Also, here's something that I had not thought about. And if demographics keep going the way they have in this decade, California is going to lose several of its congressional seats. So is Illinois, New York, and places like Florida and Ohio are going to gain Texas. Texas is going to gain multiple congressional seats and more votes in the Electoral College, making it almost impossible for Democrats to ever win again. For the longest time, the demographics were going towards the Democrats, so wild.
And that brings us back to this mailer, which many of you are likely receiving. It's urging a no vote.
If you live in California.
Election. It's also sparking criticism. On the front page is a quote from the League of Women Voters of California, and the group is pushing back. They published a statement yesterday saying the mailer wrongly implies that the League of Women Voters of California is part of their coalition and endorses the information contained in the flyer. This implication is not correct. We are not part of the coalition. The League of Women Voters of California did not authorize this action. Well, the coalition they're referring to is called Protect Voters First. On the back of the flyer, they list Charles T. Munger Jr. as a top funder. He's a Palo Alto physicist active in politics. According to the Secretary of State's campaign finance portal, Munger gave $10 million this week to that group, Protect Voters First. And the back of the mailer says funding details can be found at the Fair Political Practices Commission. That's the state's campaign finance watchdog. The FPPC said in response in a statement on X, the commission does not create or send campaign mailers. For campaign finance disclosure statements, please visit the California Secretary of State's website.
Well, already got mailers going out in California, and the shit just passed. It's being put up for a vote, right? So the shit just passed last week. And the mailers have already gone out. I guess they had them already drawn up. Smokey, Jesus, buddy, go. Last week I told you about a truck driver who performed a U-turn and killed 3 people in a crash. I told you the right wing was going to take it and run with it. Boy, was I right about that. Getting into the crime section of the show, but politics and crime just kind of meld together nowadays. He was denied bail last week.
The man accused of making an illegal U-turn with a semi-truck and causing a deadly crash on Florida's Turnpike has been flown back to Florida and faced a judge who denied bond on all 6 felony counts in St. Lucie County this morning. Well, Harjinder Singh, he was extradited from California on Thursday. He's facing 3 vehicular homicide charges and 3 manslaughter charges. And those charges stemming from an August 12th collision that claimed the lives of 3 South Florida residents while Singh attempted an illegal U-turn in an official use only area. So in the semi he was driving on the turnpike, his trailer crossed all northbound lanes of traffic directly into the path of a minivan that got wedged under the trailer, killing all 3 occupants, a 37-year-old woman from Pompano Beach, a 54-year-old man from Miami, and the driver, a 30-year-old man from Florida City. Investigators say Singh didn't even check on the victims after the collision.
If I got into a wreck, and didn't hit anybody, that would be something that I'd be concerned about. Like, okay, did I try to do a U-turn or whatever? And then if there's any type of collision, aren't most people's first reaction to just be like, oh man, I hope everyone's all right, and to try, this guy didn't care.
Well, investigators say Singh entered the United States illegally in 2018 and later obtained a commercial driver's license in California. Following the crash, he returned to California, where federal authorities initiated deportation proceedings along with Florida's Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins. Well, the Lieutenant Governor says Singh reportedly failed basic English and road sign tests during the post-crash investigation. Well, Singh remains jailed in St. Lucie County awaiting trial and was appointed a public defender. Federal immigration authorities, they have issued a detainer, and officials say he will face deportation proceedings following the resolution of his criminal case.
Now, over 2 million people have actually signed a petition in support of Singh. And supporters urge Florida officials to grant clemency to the 28-year-old truck driver, insisting the crash was a tragic accident, not a deliberate act. I agree with them on that. It was a tragic accident and not a deliberate act. I don't know about clemency. He needs to face negligent homicide as any person, vehicular manslaughter. Yeah, negligence. He should face the punishment for that. It's not murder. He probably shouldn't be held without bond. More than 2.5 million people have signed a petition urging Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to show leniency towards Harjinder Singh, the truck driver accused of causing the crash that killed 3 people last week. The petition posted on change.org calls for both DeSantis and the Florida Board of Executive Clemency to re-examine the case against Singh. He hasn't even been tried yet. The 28-year-old Indian native, who the U.S. Marshal Service say entered the country illegally in 2018, was charged with 3 state counts of vehicular homicide and immigration violations, and he was denied bond on all charges. Faces up to 45 years in prison. Officials said he was operating a commercial semi-truck with a trailer on the Florida Turnpike in Fort Pierce, about 50 miles north of West Palm Beach. On August 12th, he allegedly attempted a U-turn. We saw it. That's a wild mugshot, dude. The tragic accident, not a deliberate act. While accountability matters, the severity of the charges against him does not align with the circumstances of the accident, according to Manisha Kaushal, who started the petition under the name Collective Punjabi Youth. By granting clemency, you would reaffirm the value of proportional justice, the power of community advocacy, and the potential for rehabilitation. Signatories on change.org also argue that the incident was a terrible mistake, evidenced by Singh's clear record and full cooperation with authorities. But he didn't show concern afterwards. I'm mocking DeSantis for that. That was a stupid thing to say. People handle trauma differently, and the dude had just been in an accident. How you react in that initial time period is not indicative of anything. a child. Okay, then come back, Bubby. You really got to make up your mind. Fucking weirdo cat. This mother and father reported their child missing. The search is on, and meanwhile, the parents have been arrested.
The search goes on for a 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro, who is presumed dead.
Meanwhile, his parents could be arraigned on murder charges tomorrow in court in Riverside. Inland Empire Bureau Chief Rob McMillan is there live. Rob.
Well, Jake and Rebecca Haro still have not been charged. If they are charged with murder, they could be arraigned here tomorrow afternoon. This as the search for the body of their missing baby continues. More than a dozen vehicles with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department parked alongside the 60 freeway east of Moreno Valley on Sunday afternoon. Investigators working the steep terrain with cadaver dogs looking for the body of 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro, who is presumed dead. His parents, Jake and Rebecca Haro, now facing murder charges. Jake Haro himself was out here yesterday in a red jail suit, but at the end of the day, they left. The body of the little boy yet to be recovered. It's a case that's drawn widespread attention, not only in Southern California, but across the nation. The boy's parents at first making a tearful plea for the public to help find him after Rebecca Haro claimed she'd been attacked in a Big 5 parking lot in Yucaipa, reporting that her baby had been kidnapped.
Please, I'm begging you. Please, God, please.
But within less than a day, people started wondering if the parents were telling the truth. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department saying they had stopped cooperating with their investigators. Some saying it was strange that in our interview with the parents, Jake Haro was talking about his son in the past tense.
He was a healthy baby. He was crawling. He was kicking. He was playing with his toys.
1 week later, both parents were arrested.
Yeah, it is kind of weird.
Home. Rebecca Haro doing an interview with a reporter from the Southern California News Group over the weekend, saying, quote, "I will not give up. I will not give up on my baby." Meanwhile, residents continue to show up at the Cabazon home where Emmanuel lived with his parents.
It's very devastating to know what happened here and what's going on, and that they haven't found him yet, and that these parents could do this to this little baby.
Oh, the baby's dead, isn't it?
Again, if Jake and Rebecca Haro are charged with murder, they could be arraigned here in Riverside tomorrow afternoon. Live in Riverside, Rob McMillan, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
The dude went out with them to look for the body, and they didn't find it. That's weird. You would think if he took them out there, he would know where it's at. The search for Travis Decker continues. This is in Washington. Dude apparently killed his 3 kids. This was the press conference earlier today. I thought there'd be a story. Let me see if I can find the story on this.
Supervisory senior resident agent.
Drake, welcome in.
Offices in Yakima and Tri-Cities.
In Yakima.
Thank you for joining us. The media is very important and plays a very important role in the ability of law enforcement to push information out to our communities. So thank you for helping us spread the word. At this time, the FBI is conducting a grid search operation today and tomorrow near the Rock Island campground. But I want to be clear that currently we have no evidence that Travis Decker is alive or dead. But we are conducting a grid search operation over the next 2 days. It's currently taking place right now. We hope to find evidence that will lead us to Travis Decker or any information regarding the murder of his 3 daughters. By thoroughly searching and documenting the area, we can help prevent the need to review the area in the future by collecting all possible.
There's not really an update.
Today, there are nearly 100 FBI and partner agencies personnel on the ground to participate in this search operation. We have specialty teams from the federal government and local partner agencies all deployed here today and tomorrow for this operation. For almost 3 months, the investigators, led by the Chelan County Sheriff's Office and the FBI, have carefully followed hundreds of tips regarding
It's been 3 months silent
in this investigation. It's taken us over rough terrain, difficult areas, multiple states.
But he's also like a prepper and
that are
shit.
inaccessible. The residents and visitors of Chelan County know very well that these areas are covered with vast dirt roads that stretch for miles, no cell phone service, and many other challenges.
The baby. The father could be leading them on a wild goose chase or something. Trying to blame it on the mom or some shit. Who fucking knows? The baby this Travis Decker dude. Manhunt nears 3 months.
Are closing in on the Army veteran father suspected of killing his 3.
Are they closing in on him?
Searchers in Washington State responded to a tip from hikers that a man who could be 32-year-old Travis Decker was spotted in the woods near where his daughter's bodies were found. Nikki Batiste has more.
The Chelan County Sheriff's Office is urging members of the public to stay vigilant. They announced Tuesday that a suspicious person who appeared to be alone and ill-equipped for the trail in the weather was seen by a hiking party.
We did see some other hikers who were acknowledging us, one that appeared to be more off on their own, making possible efforts to avoid us.
He was spotted south of where the bodies of 9-year-old Peyton, 8-year-old Evelyn, and 5-year-old Olivia were discovered. The sheriff's office says the subject is believed to be the girl's father, Travis Decker, who was last seen with them.
But we felt pretty
What you gotta kill your kids for, dude?
That Travis could potentially
take yourself out.
Tracking teams responded and saw
Do us all a favor. Leave the kids alive.
The individual fled. The mother of the girls first reported them missing on May 30th after their father failed to return them following a planned visit. Although the Washington State Patrol was asked to issue an Amber Alert, it did not do so. Police say that was because Travis Decker had a legal right to see his kids, and there was no indication they were in danger. The girls were found dead near the Rock Island campground 3 days later.
They were in danger, though.
Mariana Cozart, a lawyer for Whitney Decker, the mother of the 3 girls, says Travis was an active father.
Whitney would tell you Travis loves 2 things in this world: those girls and Jesus.
But Cozart said the Afghanistan war veteran struggled with borderline personality disorder and PTSD. For CBS Mornings, I'm Nikki Batiste.
Not the only family murdering story tonight. Oh, there's already 2. We've had 2 already. Not the only 2 family murdering stories tonight. Did this woman hear voices from Jesus when she apparently drowned a 4-year-old and its father?
This is a live look here from an update out of Ohio as investigators are now looking into a disturbing case after a woman made some concerning statements. They later then found her husband and their 4-year-old son deceased in a lake.
I can tell you their mindset was that whatever their mother and father says is the way it is. They don't question anything. So when they were told to jump in a lake, they jump in a lake. And that, as a parent of great kids, that's still difficult for me to imagine. I just can't imagine my kids not questioning me, but that's how they're raised. And when you meet them, you can immediately identify that's how they operate. They would try to give us information, but couldn't stop crying. They kept focusing on the fact that they were praying for their dad and little brother. And it was tough to get the information from them because much of what they were giving us, they were only told by their mother. So they took it as truth. And then when we would separate, listen, were you told that or did you see it? We got, we got a little further. The kids were then, by law, we would involve Job and Family Services.
This is the press conference from earlier today.
Holmes County, because the family resides in Holmes County. And with our blessing and thanks, they were able to release those kids, to the family over there. And we have complete confidence that this family will take excellent care of them. The family will tell you that, in their own statement, but we're aware of some issues with especially the mother, but also the father. But there were never any discussions of harming anyone. They had some religious beliefs. What we recognize is this. She was clearly in mental crisis, no doubt about it. You talk to every witness or every first responder, she was in mental crisis, and it just simply manifests itself in what we call a spiritual delusion. Outside of that, I'm not going to try to speak to it, because you can look at me in this uniform and know I'm just not qualified. I'm not a mental health professional, I'm not a doctor, and we'll let those people do that.
So what happened was that deputies responded to a report of a woman who crashed a golf cart into the lake. The woman, her 15-year-old daughter, and twin 18-year-old sons were able to get out of the water. The Tuscarawas County Sheriff's Office said the woman made concerning statements about conversing with God. A search began for the 4-year-old boy and his father. After a lengthy search using dive teams and sonar boats, crews recovered the bodies believed to be the son and the father. So this is the press conference from earlier today.
She's remained cooperative.
She's been cooperative.
Yesterday, and at this moment, she's still in the hospital. So I know that I'm going to end here fully expecting a bunch of questions at the end, and we'll try to answer everything we can, and I'm going to introduce Dr. Jeff Cameron here so he can release his portion, and we'll go from there.
Tell us, Doc, what's going on?
Thank you, Sheriff Campbell. It's quite the story and exceedingly tragic. I am the Tuscarawas County Coroner, Jeff. C-A-M-E-R-O-N. Rachel, if you want to pass out the media releases. Everything I'm going to say is on this release. We should have enough copies for everyone. On August 23rd, 2025, the Tuscarawas County Coroner's Office was notified by Tuscarawas County 911 at approximately 6 p.m. that the body of a child had been recovered from Atwood Lake near the campgrounds. He was pronounced dead at the scene. He has been identified as Vincent Miller, 4 years of age, of the Millersburg, Ohio area. The following morning, Sunday, August 25th, at approximately 8:30 a.m., our office was notified that the body of the suspected father of the boy had been located at the same location. He was also pronounced dead at the scene. He has been identified as Marcus J. Miller, 45 years old, of the Millersburg, Ohio area. The bodies of both of these individuals have been taken to Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner's Office for autopsies. The incident is still under investigation by both our office as well as the Sheriff's Office.
He ain't got anything to add. A man says he was attacked because of his service dog. Hopefully the puppy was not injured in this attack. That's my main concern.
When a CEO called for an Uber ride, he never thought it would end with him in the hospital. The driver headbutted, then sucker punched him during a dispute over his service dog. Now he's speaking with our Allison Hall in an exclusive interview, and we want to warn you, this video may be upsetting for some viewers.
You don't want this to happen when
we didn't hurt the dog.
Uber rideshare. This passenger says he was headbutted and punched out by his Uber driver, and he's got the video to prove it.
He headbutted me, grabbed me, punched me.
45-year-old Brian Coble says he had his service dog Piper with him when he ordered an Uber after dining out. But he says when the car arrived, the driver refused to take the 17-pound golden doodle.
He was very emphatic that she not get in the car.
Coble says he told the driver that Piper was a service animal, but it made no difference. He says he told the driver just cancel the ride.
And next thing I know, he's out of his car yelling, and that's pretty much all I remember.
Coble gets headbutted, then sucker punched. He crumples to the ground as a horrified friend tends to him.
Some guy just knocked some guy out in the parking lot. He's bleeding very badly in the back of the head.
Someone just punched someone and fell on the ground, and his head is bleeding from the back. Does anyone need medical attention? Yes.
Yes! Extremely!
During all of this.
In my arms. When I hit the ground, luckily she landed on my chest, and then she sort of wandered around for a minute and then came back.
A witness takes a photo of the Uber as it drives away. Coble, who is CEO for a biotech company, says he suffered a traumatic brain injury as a result of the attack in Charleston, South Carolina.
There's still some lingering effects of it. I get weird tingles in my fingers.
The driver, identified as Vadim Ulyamshev, reportedly told cops he's allergic to dogs. Coble's lawyer claims
there's no reason to punch the dude
legally in the United States, and his license was fake.
Oh, wow.
He was never supposed to be in our country. He was certainly never supposed to be behind the wheel making money for Uber.
And the CEO is suing Uber and the driver, who is currently being held by ICE. The driver's lawyer says his license is legit and the video doesn't fully tell the story. Now, Uber tells us that
doesn't fully tell the story.
They are deeply committed to safety and they have no place for violence.
Wow. A lot of questions on that one, Flash. The news said it was 17 pounds. Like, it wasn't that big, was it? More like 7 pounds. That looked like a real punch, Holiday. I don't know. I'm usually pretty skeptical of internet videos, that's for sure. Yeah, also that, Flash. That's a big problem. The U.S. Justice Department over here doing good work. Pam Bondi, who can be my GOP mommy. Okay, I'll trust you. It's a 17-pound dog. It looked kind of small. Like, this is like an 8-pound cat. Maybe 9 pounds. What do you think you are, buddy? How big do you think you are? 9, 10 pounds? Byronic said cats aren't weird. It might be a 12-pound cat. No, I would say that Maynard's every bit of like 20 pounds, so okay, that dog being 17 is possible. Byronic said cats aren't weird. Like, let me tell you, I got weird little freaks. This is a weird little freak. You said you like weird animals, not like cats and dogs. Let me tell you, this is a weird little freak. Did you know that when he gets comfortable, he licks his nipple? Just one of them, just one of his nipples, same one, over and over and over again. Okay, not weird enough. He has a fave nibble, yeah? Yep. Go somewhere, son. That Dougie, I assume he's happy because he's like making biscuits, and he's sucking that nipple. And it's usually like when we're cuddled up, getting ready to go to bed. He slept with me last night. Probably my left nipple. Fair enough, Flash. I've seen some women suck some titties.
A titty slap!
Come on now.
Our Justice Department got a guilty plea out of El Mayo. El Mayo pled guilty.
We begin with that breaking news on one of the most notorious Mexican cartel leaders. He evaded authorities for decades. By now, the man simply called El Mayo will spend the rest of his life behind bars.
El Mayo.
Say that he founded the Sinaloa cartel and built a sophisticated criminal network.
It says El Mayo.
Deadly drugs into the United States, and his capture has all the markings of a Hollywood thriller.
Here's Eyewitness News reporter Josh Einiger.
A world away from the violent cartel he used to rule, a one-time kingpin stood in a Brooklyn courtroom today and confessed to his life of crime. The once feared drug lord known as El Mayo, Ismael Zambada Garcia, now 75, looking more like a grandfather, as he told a federal judge the tale of his violent life. A trail of drug-fueled carnage that dates to 1969 when he was just a teen. Planted marijuana for the first time. I went on, he said, to sell heroin and other drugs, especially cocaine. It was a tidal wave of drugs that flooded the United States.
Over the last 3 decades, El
Good for him.
and his accomplices made billions of dollars. Hundreds of millions each year they were making by bringing poisonous drugs into our country.
Zambada took over the Sinaloa cartel after the capture of Joaquin Guzman, the notorious kingpin known as El Chapo. The pair built the cartel into a violent, militarized machine, pumping more than $1 million.
All I wanna be is El Chapo.
Since 1980, while presiding over a bloody drug war south of the border, victimizing, he told the judge, many innocent people. I recognize, he added, the great harm illegal drugs have done to the people of the United States and Mexico. Attorney General Pam Bondi announced the guilty plea in Brooklyn this afternoon, a victory lap in the war against narco-terrorism. First El Chapo, now El Mayo, both locked up for good.
They brutally murdered
I like El Mayo better.
people and flooded our country with drugs. Their reign of terror is over. He will never walk free again.
Can I be El Mayo?
Law enforcement official called this the collapse of a myth that these cartel kingpins are untouchable. This particular defendant, El Mayo, will now, after having been, by the way, indicted in 16 different federal jurisdictions, was finally convicted here in the Eastern District of New York today. He pleaded guilty to 2 federal felonies. His sentencing won't be until January, but he will very likely spend the rest of his life in a federal prison. We're live in downtown Brooklyn. Josh Einiger, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
I'm El Mayo from now on. I'm adding that to my list of nicknames. JustinFREAKIN, a.k.a. El Mayo. Free Lil Nas X. Free Lil Nas. He is out. He's out now. He got out today.
The story getting a lot of attention. Lil Nas X made his first court appearance following a bizarre incident down Ventura Boulevard and his subsequent arrest.
The singer pleaded not guilty to felony charges. Video obtained by TMZ shows the Grammy-winning artist strutting in Studio City early last Thursday wearing nothing but underwear and cowboy boots. Eyewitness News reporter Sid Garcia is live outside the courthouse in Van Nuys with details plus reaction from the star's father.
Oh shit, Byrotic, my YouTube video that I just posted a little bit ago. He was amazing. He looked amazing doing it.
Yes.
Like my own video here.
Every side.
So incredibly talented. He was hospitalized after a bizarre scene in L.A. where he was strolling down the middle of a major street early on Thursday morning wearing only his underwear and cowboy boots.
This is me doing a full smile right now, by the way. It's like, oh my God. So...
Someone driving past him recorded Nas, who repeatedly pointed at the camera and muttered his new boot goofing. Party.
Nah. Hey,
What
don't
up?
be late to the party tonight.
Where at?
You know where it's at. Nah.
He ain't doing anything wrong.
Nah. Go ahead, babe. Hey, for everybody coming to the party. I am serving you. I am serving you. And you better be at that party tonight. Oh, yes.
And at one point, he placed an orange traffic cone on his head. He rocks that look, too.
That's going to be a beautiful sunrise. Give me that phone so I can throw it. I don't like phones.
And the fact that he's talented just makes him that much sexier.
Don't miss the party tonight. Why are you still here?
I want to go to the party.
Yes, get my good side. Every side.
All of them. All the sides. Incredibly talented. A federal judge in Miami has...
Sid.
Not only was he wandering around in his underwear, but he eventually was wandering around naked. His first court appearance here at the Van Nuys Courthouse was brief.
Oh, he whipped it out.
Not what he wanted. He's going to be released on bail, but with some conditions. Rapper Lil Nas X, whose real name is Montero Lamar Hill, pleaded not guilty to the 4 felony charges he's facing. This is him making his first court appearance earlier today.
Nah. Hey, don't be late to the party tonight.
This video posted by TMZ shows the 2-time Grammy Award winner walking around Ventura Boulevard in Studio City last Thursday morning just before 6. He was only wearing underwear and white boots. He was spotted later naked and wandering on the street. The Los Angeles County District Attorney.
Oh, this is America.
Montero Lamar Hill with 3 felony counts of battery with an injury on a police officer and 1 felony count of resisting an executive officer. His bail was set at $75,000. The LAPD says when officers approached the rapper, he charged at them.
How's he doing right now? He's great.
Hill's father, Robert Stafford, talked to reporters after his son's court appearance. He talked about how much the family appreciates the support they're getting from fans as his son deals with his legal issues.
Keep praying for him.
His fans have been giving an outpouring of support. Does that make him feel better, sir?
Oh, absolutely.
Lil Nas X's huge hit Old Town Road exploded onto the Billboard Hot 100 chart.
I would have took him to the party.
One for 19 weeks. Now, as a condition to being released on bail, Hill is required to attend Narcotics Anonymous meetings 4 times a week or enroll in the treatment program.
I think he senses that people care about him right now. I mean, you know, being in a county jail is a crappy place to be, but I think it is really a moment when you realize...
They're saying he assaulted the cops.
But at the same time, he knows there's an outpouring of support and love for him, and that's going to make anybody feel good at their darkest day, because this has to be his darkest day right now.
Good for him.
His next court appearance is scheduled for next month.
I doubt he did.
Reporting live from the Van Nuys
Cops lie.
Sid Garcia, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
I mean, I guess he knew they were cops. I don't know. He was very high as fuck, yes. I had a chubby. He looked amazing. Speaking of a chubby, that's a weird thing to call this unexploded artillery shell from World War I.
Part of Memorial Park shut down for hours this afternoon after the discovery of a World War I era artillery.
Yeah, a little bit weird. KPRC 2's Bryce Newberry is live at Memorial Park, which is now back open as we understand it after hearing from the bomb squad, Bryce.
Yeah, Joel and Daniela, this unexpected discovery happened around noon today. That unexploded World War I era artillery shell in a fenced-off and hard-to-access area here at Memorial Park, which is the former site of Camp Logan. In a wooded area of Memorial Park Monday.
World War I.
Bunch of lights and sirens.
Brock and his wife heard the law enforcement response to a work crew's unusual discovery.
It looked like an old rusty small piece of a cylinder with something sticking out of the bottom of it.
HPD's bomb squad responded to a call from a crew working to clear underbrush after they found an unexploded World War I era artillery shell, too old and too dangerous to move.
It appeared to have to be possibly a live piece of ordnance.
Police shut down part of the park and cleared the area before successfully detonating the decades-old ordnance, which moved just a bit of dirt.
There's no crater or anything like that.
It's kind of crazy, but not too surprising since this used to be Camp Logan.
Formerly known as Camp Logan, more than 70,000 soldiers trained here starting in 1917. It's now the country's only not fully developed ex-World War I training camp.
I wouldn't be surprised if they find more.
And police say this is a prime example of seeing something and saying something, as no one got hurt in all of this. The bomb squad says that they reevaluate once they get back and look at everything and then possibly use it as a training experience for future calls out into the field. We're live at Memorial Park. I'm Bryce Newberry, KPRC 2 News.
Chat, will you show me your haboob? I'd like to see your haboobs. Toxic, welcome in. Can I see your haboobs? Who knows what a haboob is? Apparently it's this. I had no idea what a haboob was until today. Am I saying it correctly? Probably not. This is the dust storm that usually comes in front of a thunderstorm in desert areas. This is Scottsdale, Arizona today. A haboob. Everything's the thing from that meme. So that's the haboob from Scottsdale, Arizona. Well, apparently just like a couple hours ago. The haboob. It is Live Music Monday. Tonight's Live Music Monday is the Irish rap group known as Kneecap. They've had to cancel their U.S. tour dates due to court battle over a terrorism charge. One of the group's members, Mo Chara, faces a court date in London for allegedly displaying a Hezbollah flag during a show in November. The Irish rap group Kneecap has canceled all of its upcoming tour dates in the U.S. due to a scheduling conflict with a band member's court date in London. Kneecap announced the news Monday in a social media post saying that all 15 of its October shows in the U.S. had to be axed as the British government continues its witch hunt, with every show fully sold out to tens of thousands of fans. The news is sad to deliver, Kneecap wrote, but once we win our court case, which we will, we promise to embark on an even bigger tour to all you great heads. That's the Instagram post. Refunds are available. Kneecap found itself in legal trouble in May after police in London accused one member of the group, Liam Ohana, 27, of violating part of a UK terrorism law that bans people from displaying flags in such a way or in such circumstances as to arouse reasonable suspicion that he is a supporter of groups the country considers terrorists. The Metropolitan Police at the same time said it had launched an investigation into Ohana, whose name in Irish is Liam O'Hanidich, who performs as Mo Chara in the hip-hop trio, after it saw a video online of the singer displaying the flag of Hezbollah at a venue north of London last November 21st. Liam O'Hanidich. Hezbollah has been designated a terrorist organization by the United States, the UK, and other countries over its militant activities and its ties to Iran. The group is considered a Shia political party and militant organization based in Lebanon. Kneecap in April performed at Coachella in front of a screen featuring the words "F Israel, Free Palestine," that did not yield criminal charges in the U.S., but did prompt federal festival organizers to censor the live stream of the band's performance. No censorship here. We are going to watch Kneecap from earlier this year. No, they are bigger than ever, Lenny. Totally did not kneecap their career. I know you were being punny. Did not kneecap their career. I showed this to Curiouser, and she's like, "What a weird country." But how can I not do Kneecap? We need to watch Kneecap. We need to support these motherfuckers. And let's check them out. Let's see what they're like. This is the best kept secret festival earlier this year.